You block with your feet. That's what you block with. You block with your feet. Your feet take you to where you need to be. I look at the feet more than I look at arm length. And has he been able to handle what he needs to handle with whatever his limitations are? And I thought his response, that nobody ever cared how long my arms were when I was, the best offensive lineman in the country, when I was on the All-SEC first team. Nobody cared about his arm length. All of a sudden, after he's done playing, his career's, college career is over and he's going to the pros, all of a sudden somebody says, oh, his arms might be too short.
I learned about length from Pat Riley. I was at the Dick Vitale fundraiser in Sarasota, and I got to meet Pat Riley, and we started talking about length. And for all the listeners out there, if you measured yourself from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, you measure it in inches. I'm 70 inches. And then if you reach your fingers out and measure your pointer finger to pointer finger, how wide are you? The great offensive linemen are +2, +4. They're longer than they are tall. Basketball players, great receivers, corners, they all have length. And I think you got to have long arms to protect the edge in pro football. Otherwise, you can be taken advantage of from some of these freak pass rushers.
So that's Jon Gruden on Will Campbell, offensive lineman from LSU. Jurko, what was your take on that?
Well, as I answered last week when I talked to the fellas, I'll give you the same answer that I had. In Harvey Penick's Little Red Book, it talks about page 49. It says, beware. Mm-hmm. Beware of the guy in golf that has the weird swing, the crazy swing, but is playing at the professional level because he's able to repeat things over and over and over again. So whatever his swing is, it's his, it's unique to him, and it makes him the player he is because he's playing at that level. So don't judge anything by the way it looks, all right? I would say the same thing with offensive linemen. Will Campbell played at LSU. Will Campbell's been considered the best offensive lineman. He started since he was a freshman. He's played against the top competition that the country has to offer. Guys that have come into this league and have been dominant in this league over the last 3 years. He's played against all those guys. He's played against the guys that were there this year that are going to be coming out in the draft and are going to be high draft choices. He's proven himself against the best already. Mm-hmm. You block with your feet. That's what you block with. You block with your feet. Your feet take you to where you need to be. I look at the feet more than I look at arm length. And has he been able to handle what he needs to handle with whatever his limitations are? And I thought his response, that nobody ever cared how long my arms were when I was, the best offensive lineman in the country, when I was on the All-SEC first team. Nobody cared about his arm length. All of a sudden, after he's done playing, his career's, college career is over and he's going to the pros, all of a sudden somebody says, oh, his arms might be too short. Not Pete Skoronski short. And by the way, Pete Skoronski, one hell of a player at the guard position for the Tennessee Titans. That's where they decided to move him. Mm-hmm. But you play with your feet. You put yourself in position with your feet. Even as an offensive lineman, you put yourself where you need to be with your legs. When guys make mistakes, they make them with their legs.
Yeah.
They make them by bending at the waist. They make them by straightening their legs. When you got great technique, his punch and his arms are fine. They're not an issue because he's proven over the course of time with his play that they're not an issue.
I think those are great points. My amateur view would be...
That's all I would say.
Well, yeah, my amateur view would be it's great to have the width as well, the length as well, but it doesn't mean you can't be successful without
I'll
it.
tell you where John's theory comes into play. You've got two guys ranked the same. Mm-hmm. They're identical. And you say, well, what's the difference between the two? Well, one guy's got this reach and the other one's got that reach. If they're both the same, let's make the mistake with the guy with the longer reach.
Right.
That's where it comes into play. I believe that's what you do it. That's when you do it.
Sure.
You're in the fourth round. You're looking at two offensive linemen, and the difference is this guy's got 2-3 more inches of reach. Then go and make the mistake with the guy that's got the longer reach.
And I think it's such a great point what you said about the fact that he's playing at this elite level already means he can play with the shorter reach. What if he's developed his feet that much better because he has a little bit shorter of a reach, right?
Now, listen, there's different philosophies out there. There's different football philosophies out there.
Of course, not one.
Guys that look at things and say, okay, this is what I like.
Yeah, not one size fits all.
I remember there was a guy in high school that said he likes his athletes to be pigeon-toed for some reason. Why? Well, I don't know, but that's what he liked. He always, when he'd walk down the hallways, he'd look at players they'd want. He'd look at guys that were pigeon-toed, and that's what he wanted. I have no idea why he wanted that, but that's what his preference was.
So
when
that
he'd
could
see
be
it.
Gruden's preference when he was a coach,
Right.
But
Gruden's
you're pointing out
preference
the other
was-
side of it.
Right.
I think it's just great. It reminds me of they were talking about.
And I'm not disagreeing with John. That's John's philosophy.
Right, exactly.
That's what he would do.
But I like what you said about if you've been successful doing it this way, why assume he won't be moving forward?
Not at the 1AA level either.
Right.
Not on the ass end of some mystery conference that happens to be Division One. You're playing at the top level. You're not playing scrubs. This guy's playing the best of the best. So, and he's proven it there.
No doubt.
So I would not waffle at 10. If Will Campbell's there, I do not waffle. I make the choice.
Does it sound like Gruden would waffle?
Well, I think he's just talking about, I don't know
Or
if he
in
would,
general.
specifically about Will
Yeah.
Campbell. I think he gave his general philosophy on how he believes length is important.
Because I agree with you. I would not waffle because of that.
Right.
If this guy's played at such a high level, has the feet to go along with the rest of his body, in terms of strength and all the things you need, if that's the one small thing, I wouldn't waffle either.
I mean, my concern would be if he was 6'2" and had the arm length. But he's not 6'2"
Right.
with that arm length.
Right.
He's got the prerequisite size that you need. So to me, height's more important than arm length.